Pastor, pastor, pastor. I was so happy you were preaching. And it's not, please, I was so touched by that girl, and even the guy last week was powerful, and because I try very hard to not worry about the cup. I just try to think about the coffee, and I keep saying this, but I catch myself, but I'm glad I do. I just am trying anything that I have an intellectual, whether it's such a sincere question where I'm ready. Oh, come on, there's another side to this. And I just try to go, that stuff doesn't matter. But the cup, what I'm saying is I just need to do that concept of the cow with the cud, uh, and get more and more, because ultimately, uh, I was, and I'm sorry that I'm jumping around so fast, Pastor, but I just finished listening for the second time. I watched it live, and then I just finished now. I think it's around 9:30 at night. Um, One of the themes that struck me, and I've heard you before. I get forgive me for just what I am, but anyway. When I'm in a good zone, I'm just happy that something tickles me because I'm generally so in utter despair over real things that should be in despair. But anyway, when you talk about your rapture jumping or something, I forget what one of your services, you're jumping up and down, giving, like, hey, I'll give you a run and jump. I'm a Millie Bakazupi Nino Boobalop second above the twinkle. Whoop, you know. But I don't think that. I I've said to you before, Pastor, it's just me. And everything is just a generalization. You can't make any allegory or parable stand on all fours there to support the concept. But if people generally die at 80 in an American culture, and we're talking really um, lower middle class and above, because poverty is just like in any experiment, you have to have a closed environment. And when you get below the lower middle class, that's not even the working poor. Working poor is that dividing line. And so there's so much that poverty, like the Dalai Lama said, poverty is the breeding ground of violence. And in America it is. Because it's solely based on competition and drive and all of that. And you gotta get ahead of the next guy. And the motivation, well, it's for my family. And I'm diverting. I'm sorry. The issue is that you can't. There's too many variables when it gets to the working poor and below. But what I'm saying is, if you're living to generally 80, 0 to 20, you're in springtime. In this culture, in this culture, 20 to 40 is summer, which is the hardest time to work. And that it's really, and it is, you're getting ready for somewhat of an empty nest. Coronavirus and all that, go whatever. So, 40 to 60s fall. You're actually in the beginning of harvesting. And then you're in winter, and then you die. And it is so unlikely I'll even make it to 80 for so many reasons. And I didn't take care of my body either. It doesn't matter, I just did. So, and I've lived very low, so all those variables. so in impoverishedness and insanity. But when I hear you talk about, wow, it'll change your life to live in that rapture mentality, as a younger, as 45, I'd be thinking that if that was my mindset. Wow, today might be the day it's all over. Whoo! And in a twinkle, I'm going to change. But mine is number your days. Mine is maybe I'll be your number 6 funeral. So I don't have a rapture mentality. I just have the death reality. And one of the things that frustrates me, Pastor, is that I am so compromised in so many ways now that just getting out of bed and being semi-active to go to bed is a full-time job with doctors and pills, and I got to do this treatment for my back, and I got to do this treatment for my breathing, and everything takes so long because my psychosis is I'm really very trance-like. I'm really not present, so I'm always surprised, like, oh my God, that's right, I got to get the cat food ready. So it bothers me that my entire life makes me selfish. I have very little of anything to give. I'm so absorbed in reality and people that would have been in my life up to Stacy. With the fact that I'm still trying to do all these things, they'd go at a boy. People that live suicidal aren't looking to spend a little extra money on healthier medicines and, all of that. And I know to feed those cats. I can't help myself. I absolutely adore and love them. They're part of me. But I know that gets me out of the house. It hurts my back, but it helps I got to do something. I have to have a purpose. Otherwise, why push for another 15 years? If all these other things. So I got to keep the clay moist, but most of it is just so I can function, which I see as no value for my existence. And I think large, Pastor. I challenge you to just stay in your Jerusalem and watch the echoes and the echoes and the echoes. I can't, because so many are just so bruised and life's just too hard. Breakdown of the family is history already. My generation is the absolute reason for that. Love the one you're with Crosby, Stills, Nash. It doesn't matter. The issue is that's why I adore your subculture. I don't mean to. I hope you don't think I'm like, oh, who the hell is? Oh, excuse me. Who does this guy think he is? But I absolutely go, wow. We are so completely opposite in generalized thinking on society and whatever. But yet, I absolutely go, wow. If you preached that living an aesthetic life and staying out of the world to prove your love for God, and that was it, just stay away from all that lexaha, I would not admire you. But I wouldn't expect you to preach anything else. And most religions do. The more, somewhere in Islam or somewhere in Hindu, what I'm saying is when their kids are 10 or 11, they're all hearing, I did as a Jew. If you don't find something to die for, you'll have nothing to live for. And if the world is polluting your belief system, well, are you willing to turn your back on this golden calf mentality, this wide and broad? And would you live a more, pure life? But your motive for purity, Pastor, is not self-righteousness. I'm not even talking about it's not. Because you really ultimately interpret every action, as you said twice before you gave the very end. Speak the truth in love. Speak the truth in love. And your willingness to die for Christ is because you're willing to love someone to the place of turning the other cheek, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well for Good Samaritans. And I just want you to have the greatest hedge of protection around you and your family. That I do. But, so I don't want you to think I did, I'm looking for coffee. So if there's other people up there, that I'll really listen to them. But you see, it's you, Pastor. See, Pastor, you are the love that people read. I want to be like you. I don't care that you're 45 or whatever. I don't care. My daughter told me specifically, and she raised me in so many ways. It's Daddy, follow love. You follow love. I'm gonna be gone. You taught me that you follow love. Find love, follow love. I found you. You cry for people that are going to be lost for eternity. It just disturbs you. That's because you love. But the guy that you pass on the street that's struggling, you're a Good Samaritan. And no matter how much you are scheduled, organized, make every, hour count, re-look at your schedule, make it circumspect, it's hard pressed for you to go, I'm late for a very important date, whether it has anything to do with church business at all. Because you care. And you love. That's why I listen to you. That's why I like listening to you most. Because as much as if other people speak, I'll try to really taste the coffee in that mug. But I don't have to go through that with you. I already know the mug keeps putting itself back. You started your service today. I've never seen a service start with communion. I just thought it was incredible. I just did. And that just challenges me, and I need to be challenged because I don't want to live. And I don't have a reason to live. I'm going to die. And I just wish it was much more than... I really need... Every day I need bizarre breaks just to get through the day. There are like 4 or 5 minefields and that my day's done, man. My back's gone. I can't breathe. My stomach, I'm done. Like these are just the go-tos. That's the whole day's over. It's like a permanent stub toe. So if I'm fortunate enough to, and then I got to push through and get things done, and with this emergency brake on, I'm repeating, it's 15 minutes The so I don't have a rapture mentality, and I fear God. I don't have your hope, but I do have, like, wouldn't it be nice if the only thing that I ever did that was partially sincerely, like I could break it down as a fifth of the basis for Turn the Frown Around, really was the Sermon on the Mount, really was this admonition to go from interpreting life through law to interpreting law through love. And wow, I really was astounded at this concept that, and how Jesus manifested it. And which gets me to that question again, Pastor. I just want you to know I'm really incubating. If you just want to know why I just didn't go yes, Pastor, I'm so unpredictable. Just beside all the ailments I said, but I've had too many times. It's not a joke anymore. I can go to bed pretty okay. I'm just so afraid of. I'm afraid of a lot of things, but like, but I'm going to bed pretty groovy, and I wake up with voices and hallucinations. I'm much better asleep, and the two things I might have said I was going to do the next day, they're. I really do live if the Lord wills. We'll do this or that. And I hate being inconsistent. That's all I've ever been. And I had so many blockers in a pot, like a football guy running a ball. Turned the Frown Around, I couldn't believe it. I had an entourage of people that helped me. An entourage. And I was very happy. I thought of Proverbs 6, go to the ant. They work in colonies, everyone just a little bit, everyone just a little bit, everyone just a little bit. Anyway, Turn the Frown Around was really based on sacrificial love, which is what Jesus was about, and I brought Jesus up in many of my shows. I always would say, with actually your wonder, everything you say is sincere. Everything you say, I just want to listen. You're 100%. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. Your relationship with Jesus is, wow. In my bizarreness, I wanted to be, as I said another time, the work boots of Jesus, in the sense of making lonely people feel loved. And I realized the basic tenets of that was human, even beyond any religion of any sort. And that all the religions, I'm telling you, in all of their scriptures, they might have a lot of hate, but they have love. You're gonna really. So I said, wow. But I always quoted Jesus. I said, this is astounding. If you want to be the greatest among you, and I had such a wounded ego, love everybody. You told them, they'll know you. John 13:35. I wanted to make sure I caught that. They'll know that you're a follower of Christ, because you'll follow Christ in totally putting other people and their pain before your own. So it's just bizarre that I follow Christ in that way, poorly, horribly, as a hypocrite. But Paul said he was a hypocrite. That gives me hope. Is that terrible? I don't know. It's disgusting when I think about it. Oh, well, Paul was, when he wanted to do good, he didn't do it, so I'm all right. I'm off the hook. Listen, I don't naturally love, and you do. And that is the difference. I do love. And I've told you, when people are downstream, I do feel their pain. I have no tolerance for anyone else. Anyway, I'm going through old stuff that I can't get a handle on. But listen, I was going back to when I was vacillating. So I want to come. I don't mind because I'm really hoping that two or three of your parishioners will just love me like you do. They won't have to put it on. They, it just will be. They just, because I'm not fair, but I'll respond to love. And I told you I was afraid to come to your church, but I know I'll be okay, or I wouldn't come. But my point is, if I'm going to come, I'll be fine because when I attach myself to somebody, like I did with my daughter or my dad or Dr. Gregory, who's a therapist that risked his license and we became friends. Anyway, the issue is that you'll be there, and that's all that'll matter. I'll just be a good boy. I'll do things for you I wouldn't do for anyone else. So if I'm just hoping they'll go, you know what? This bizarre guy wants to take James 1:27 and bum 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 bum. You know, when I watch those videos, especially well this one, but the one last week, and I just the passion that you have for the unreached. I have that same passion for the lonely. And I want them to get what they need. If there's fire, whenever they believe, they need water to put out this fire. That's just a human thing. All humans need food. All humans need water. You know, all humans need safety. All humans, unfortunately, seemingly to live in this world, now need medical care. And I'm just convinced all these lonely people will be happier, more fulfilled, be able to find themselves if we love them. Say your pain's mine. Everyone adopts one. Oh, Pastor, I go off on this. I hope I'm. I hope I'm not boring you, or I just go back. What I'm saying is that I can't figure out how I figure into all this, because I'm so intrigued by radical love, and I want to come to your church, because I'm hoping a few people will go. And like I said, you know, I mean, I know all religions. I just have studied way too much. But it doesn't matter. They in America they have visitation programs. They do but it's more organized and corporate. And I just want to take that and put it on overdrive. And just get everybody. Let's start just with the lonely. That's fine. It's so easy to do that. And just be their friend. Just come and be with them. Like be the Meals on Wheels person. It comes once a week with a hot meal, but stays for an hour, but not with an agenda. A human agenda. Let's put out the fire of loneliness. And then what motivates me? I I want to glorify my Father which is in heaven. Because now that you're their friend and they go, wow, you tell them why you tick. I say, I do this because I love Jesus. Wow. A lot of evangelism go on with the Assembly of God Church. If they just got said, we're just going to find the lonely. Let's go to the least, the last. In this culture, the third of throwaways. Let's go to them first. the ones we'll never get offerings from, the ones that will only be work, the ones that'll definitely be one way until they tapa. So I just, anyway, Pastor, I, I love that girl today. Oh my God, that she has the same enthusiasm. More than, other than that, I think it's Rachel, whoever spoke, that girl. I was glad to see the piano girl. I think that's the daughter of that hippie guitarist. But I'm starting to get worried. What happened to all the women? They're not playing anymore. But Pastor, I guess I want to end with where you started. Grace and peace. Grace and peace. But how it's tied into love, non-judgmental, uplifting, unconditional love. The purest cheerleader. Jesus saying, you want to be the greatest person? How are the 8 billion people doing out here today? And everyone wakes up wondering, how's 8 billion people doing? How are they doing? They all fed or that, that kind of thing. So we become others oriented. But anyway, we got to go seek and find those that are throwaways, that are just dying and decaying alone. But why do I respond to you? My theologies are dark and twisted and bad. Because grace is unmerited favor. And how do you show me grace? How do I get peace? How do I get the safety? What is the grace you show me? You love me. You look for the good in me. You pray for all the bad. And you accept me no matter what. And you're aware this is an abused dog. Like, this isn't like a predictable human. Here you're willing to pick me up, and you're the pastor of the church. Like, talk about willing to take off your tie and put on your servant clothes. Because I wouldn't go with someone else. I couldn't. But you're willing to do all that. On the Sunday you have to preach. I'll never forget that offer until I die. So I have peace with you because you've shown me love, and that's the grace. And I respond to that. And I try to be a better person with the few people that are willing to do what I'm not willing to do so often. I know I'm unfair. So I can't thank you enough. I have peace with you, Pastor. Because you are really genuine. You are, Pastor. You want to live a pure life. And you say to yourself, the way our society is, this isn't protecting children. This is exploiting them. And that protective helicopter dad says, listen, but it's only a protective love. And it's all about love. And you don't want to reject the world, you want to love the world. And you love me. Wow. I really like that Thessalonian chapter. That was, wow. I love that you're so detailed. Listen, you could have gone on for 10 more minutes, Einstein, when you were talking about a twinkle. And I've held the hand of more than I think the average person that's just a weird, just a, whatever I am. People have died. They died with me holding their hand. I became a lot of things to a lot of people, and I didn't correct their stories. And here I am. I know how heathen I am, but I'd ask the nurse. It didn't matter what their religion was. I knew enough. I knew the basics. I surely wasn't trying to play political in this with God, but these people are dying and they're out of their mind. Or I'd visit them and they were out of their mind. And a lot of them, I was their son. It was beautiful. I wasn't correcting that, and I was praying to bring comfort, because nobody else would hold their hand. You're willing to hold my hand. And I'm honest now, and I can't control myself anymore. And you're astounding. Well, I got grace and peace, and I want to be like you. I'm sorry I went on and on. So I'll work on this thing in my head. And that's why I talked about maybe they call, but no, I think that's better. People need to see me and go, wow, that guy is really radical. And they'd go, I think he knows what he's doing when it comes to visitation programs. That's kind of what Turn the Frown Around really was. And, that's what we were, one massive visitation program. So I told you I'm the Raven, but, anything is neutral. The internet does a lot of bad things. But because of the internet, I get to watch you. So, all right. I always have to bring it up. Matter of fact, I didn't bring it up last time. I keep bringing it up. You see, you just are so... it's just so priceless. Like when you went and you did the whole echo thing and the echo and the echo. But you ended it with a joke. I don't know if you prepared it or not. But you told us flawlessly. But it didn't sound like you were telling a joke. When you went, that had nothing to do with echo. Everything else you were explaining. And when I said the intellectual was the sound of light with the twinkling. But then at the very end you go, and your kids go, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? That was priceless. But I like what that guy said last week when he said, he said, he was kind of down on jokes. But he said, a funny story or something, and that's good. You're talking serious stuff. I try to remember we're in the holiest of holies when you preach. You take it very seriously. But you're still human like a real priest. The priests had to deal with their own humanity, but they brought the Jews, the regular Jews to God, and God to the Jews. That's what you do. You don't get in the way. You just don't. But I love the fact you're a teacher. And you have great catchphrases. I need them. That's why they're catchphrases. I told you before, Billy Graham prepared every sermon for a 12-year-old. That's what he did. And but you still got meat on the bones. And that Psalm 139 sends me in so many directions. But that twinkle of an eye. The reason I brought up people dying, my own dad died in my arms. Point is, it is. That's why I believe in God so much. That whole that whole Psalm 139. Come on, guys, this came from gas? No way. No jokes here. Are you crazy? You're crazier than me. And I'm not mad at these people. They try to apply religious principles, and many of them come from Christians. But they don't realize. But guys, gas? You just boom? Oh, come on. Just what you brought up about the eye, like the light. So when that goes out, I believe we're all like that. When you said that, yeah, read it, but yeah, I went back. I had to like, I gotta see this. I gotta hear this again. The thoughts are too many. So I think about the pre-programming of the detail of the detail of the detail. Like you know how many days on end just one cartoon takes, unless they got many animators. Every scene is doop, and then doop, and then doop, and then doop, and then doop, and we just you got to get a lot of those doop 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 doops for maybe 5 seconds. It's just tedious. Doop. I guess the computer now it's fast, but the concept that every little hair on the head, dot to D, dot to do, and then it's gone. That's why I said what keeps me going is I'm hoping that the reason I didn't die when I had the esophagus and the heart attack is that somehow this segment of the work of compassion, I'm because otherwise I don't know what I'm doing, and that's why I'm so veteranized. I'm a veteran of a veteran in this that maybe I can just be